Your old ways can't keep up with our future. We need a visionary. I'm Arthur Vance. At 62, I stood as a chief financial officer of Meridian Manufacturing for 15 years, until this morning. I stepped in when we were a fragile family business, clinging to life with 3 tiny factories in Cincinnati. We've become a publicly traded powerhouse, operating 18 plants throughout the Midwest. I steered us through 2 recessions, a crisis of acquisition, and a whirlwind of boardroom politics that haunts my memory. I'm understated. I avoid mingling with investors at social events. The numbers never lied. The books gleamed with precision, and deadlines were always met under my watchful eye. Evan Holloway stepped in, 36, clad in designer blazers and costly sneakers, commanding attention. 3 months ago, the board appointed him CEO, and he stormed through our offices, preaching synergy, disruption, and a new vision. The instant he set our first one-on-one, I felt the storm brewing. Text, "The market's shifting. Arthur," he said today, reclining in my chair, his feet resting on my desk. "We need a voice fluent in the pulse of today's finance." I remained silent, nodding once, and extended a brief, tight handshake. Liam O'Connell, 29, a brilliant mind, is joining us. His TEDx talk on financial innovation is igniting conversations online. "I understand," I replied, my voice unwavering. "When does it change?" Evan smiled, taken aback by my serenity. "In 2 weeks, the revelation will unfold at the board meeting." That afternoon, while they celebrated a bold new direction, I quietly packed my personal belongings. 15 years gone, and all that remains is a single cardboard box. Family photos, a coin marking our IPO, the leather portfolio from Helen before she left me. As I stepped out, I caught sight of Eleanor from accounts, her eyes glistening with unshed tears near the elevator. From the very beginning, she was by my side. "Don't worry," I whispered, "it's just the way things go." I had kept silent about the 6 months I spent meticulously tracking a string of dubious transactions that began surfacing in our records right after Evan joined us, intensifying once he introduced his finance expert, Liam. I had no intention of revenge. I was simply doing my duty, ensuring the books were spotless, even as I departed. I spent my childhood in my father's hardware store in Covington, Kentucky, right across the river from Cincinnati. He showed me that numbers reveal the truth, even when words deceive. I worked tirelessly, stocking shelves and balancing his books under the dim light of night, all to earn my place in college. Upon graduation, I rejected larger offers to remain local, climbing the ranks in regional firms until, in 2008, I received a personal call from Howard Sterling, the founder of Meridian. "I need a lifeline in this recession," he said, "someone who finds peace only when the numbers align." For a decade, Howard and I forged Meridian into something unbreakable. His retirement came like a whisper, yet it echoed in the silence of change. Diane Morris, the new CEO, honored the systems we built. We clashed at times, yet she always heard me. We built our foundation quietly, with unwavering dedication and integrity in every transaction. With Diane's departure, the board craved a surge of new vitality. Meet Evan Holloway, a Harvard MBA, a brief chapter in a Silicon Valley startup that thrived on hype, not success. It was in the second week that the first warning sign emerged. He sidestepped our procurement rules to bring on a marketing consultant, a former classmate, at quadruple our usual rate. As I probed, his smile deepened. "We're dreaming larger now, Arthur. The past rules no longer bind us." The second warning arrived as he reshaped our reporting lines, forcing finance to navigate through his new chief innovation officer before ever reaching him. I caught him on the phone, admitting our books were filled with outdated methods that cried out for innovative fixes. I began to observe intently. Small irregularities emerged, vendor contract with unverified companies, consultancy fees lacking deliverables, budget reallocations absent department head signatures. My team felt it too. That evening, as I pored over the quarterly statements, Leo from internal audit appeared, his presence shifting the atmosphere. "There's something wrong with the new tech investment tracking," he whispered. The figures clashed between the entry and the report. "Record it all," I urged him. Stick to the facts. Helen would have urged me to disrupt, to rise in the boardroom, to leave an unforgettable mark. 3 years have passed since cancer stole her away, and in her absence, I become more methodical, more patient, yet the void remains unfilled. Rather than confront, I meticulously documented everything: suspicious transactions, irregularities, while keeping my composure in meetings, even as Evan replaced my team with his own. I was right to feel this way. The patterns echoed with unsettling certainty. A storm was brewing, and at its I stood the enigmatic finance prodigy, Liam O'Connell. My last board meeting was a swift 22 minutes, yet it felt like a lifetime. 15 years vanished in silence. No gratitude, no recognition, just a cold line on the agenda: CFO transition update. Evan passionately shared thrilling new fiscal directions, while I remained a quiet observer at the far end of the table. Marcus Thorne, the chairman, avoided my gaze. He was there when Howard brought me on board. He nodded, caught in the fervor of Evan's pitch on how Liam O'Connell would transform capital allocation forever. I longed for a sign from Marcus, a glimpse of the bond we had forged. The meeting swiftly shifted to the next topic: Evan's ambitious plan for a new downtown headquarters. Marcus lingered for a moment by my chair as the crowd dispersed. "You've been invaluable, Arthur," he murmured, his hand hesitating on my shoulder. "Wishing you all the strength you need. A treasure, like a worn-out tool, forgotten and left behind." I returned to my office, now Liam's, to gather my box. Behind the glass, Evan guided him, gesturing at the graphs on my walls as if unveiling lost relics of forgotten world. Eleanor stood at my door, clutching an envelope, her eyes filled with urgency. "The accounting department gathered contributions," she said, "for a heartfelt farewell dinner." I thanked her, the weight of my decision heavy in the air. As she walked away, I called out, "Eleanor, when did those Vertex Solutions invoices begin arriving?" She paused, lost in thought. "It's February, I believe," moments after Mr. Holloway unveiled the Digital Transformation Initiative, Heart of Winter. Just 2 weeks before Evan brought up Liam. That night, I laid out every document on my dining room table, the weight of uncertainty heavy in the air. Half a year of hidden dealings. Bills for work that was never done. Consulting fees abroad, no tax papers in sight. Most revealing, shell vendors linked to a holding company named Alpine Innovations, registered merely 3 days before Evan took the CEO role. Clarity struck like lightning. Evan kept Liam out, clinging to the past. He had brought him in, their scheme intricate, siphoning company funds through phantom vendors and consultants, cloaked in convoluted digital transformation costs, nearly impossible to challenge in the current business landscape. They wanted me out for daring to seek the truth, watched every detail too closely. I leaned back, eyes fixed on the evidence spread before me. For the first time since Helen's death, a spark pierced through the numbness of my daily life. Not quite anger. Something more chilling. Sharpened resolve. I flipped open my laptop, heart racing, and started to soar through the chaos with fierce determination. Connections intertwine. Moments collide. Paths of consequence. I couldn't face Evan. I refused to summon an emergency board meeting or reach out to the press. That just wasn't me. Not this time. I would stick to my path. Let the figures reveal the truth. This time, I'd ensure the right ear were tuned into their words. A week after I left, I felt compelled to contact Marcus Thorne directly. His goodbye was tepid, yet fairness lingered in his essence. He needed a moment to speak before it spiraled out of control. I reached out to his office, leaving a message with his assistant, hoping for a response. I need to talk about urgent financial worries from my last weeks. Not pressing, yet deserving of attention. He called back the next day, his voice tight with tension. "Arthur, it's great to hear from you. Evan said you could be getting in touch." My stomach nodded. Did he really? Absolutely. He mentioned you were struggling, transforming. You mentioned concerns about our new systems, but Liam has already addressed them. Marcus, there are unsettling issues that existed before Liam came. Crucial moments. Empty stillness hangs heavy. Arthur, I get it. This is hard. 15 years stretch long, yet the board believes fiercely in Evan's vision. Liam has swiftly tackled the issues you pointed out. That can't be. I have to take another call. Maybe we'll meet again at the holiday party. I see you're still part of the circle. Evan's generosity is striking, especially when you think about, what are you thinking about? I wanted to reach out, but the call had ended before I could speak. The following morning, an email from Meridian's legal department landed in my inbox. The words were measured, yet the intent pierced through unmistakably. Accusations of financial wrongdoing, lacking solid proof, can cut deep and be deemed defamatory. They gently brought up my confidentiality agreement. They were tightening their circle. Evan had seen this coming, knowing I would catch the discrepancies, and had already tainted the truth. I chose a different path. Leo Martinez from Internal Audit had been with my team for 8 long years. He would be the one to see the cracks before anyone else. We crossed paths at a diner miles away from the office. Leo's eyes darted, anxiety gripping him as he glanced back repeatedly. They promoted me, he said, cutting me off before I could even mention the accounts. Fresh title, significant boost. I now report directly to Liam. Congratulations, I said, my voice steady, yet the weight of the moment hung heavy in the air. Is it going well? Leo's gaze pierced through the coffee, lost in a storm of thoughts. Everything about the internal reporting systems has been transformed. Fresh software, fresh protocols. Liam insists it's the better way. Is it truly? He glanced upward, tension etched on his face. Arthur, I just can't. They made me sign more NDAs. They're keeping a close eye on everyone who was near you. Understood. Whispers swirl, Arthur, about your departure. What things haunt you? Leo whispered. You fought against the changes that had to happen. You made mistakes in the last quarter's report, and Liam caught them. Whispers of ethical concern swirl, igniting tension and unease. My hands clenched the coffee mug, trembling with the fear it might shatter. They were shoving me away, hard. They shattered my name to hide their sins. I have to leave, Leo declared, slamming cash onto the table. Mortgage looming. Twins on the brink of college. Time is slipping away. I just can't. It's fine, I insisted, masking the turmoil with a smile. Protect your family, Leo. He rushed away, leaving me in solitude, grappling with the weight of my revelations. My choices were slipping away. The board turned a deaf ear. My old team was either utterly disengaged or paralyzed by fear. They were assaulting my reputation, leaving me trapped, unable to voice my concerns without appearing bitter and resentful. They believed they had me trapped, but they missed a crucial detail. The audit server was still within my reach. In my last days, while they believed I was merely tidying my office, I had secretly created an emergency admin account, an overlooked standard for system transitions. It was fleeting, but it could be everything. That night, I slipped into the shadows, using my emergency credentials to breach Meridian's audit server. I knew they'd find and delete the account soon, so I moved swiftly, tracing the money paths I had uncovered. What I discovered rendered my previous doubts utterly trivial. Alpine Innovations was more than a mere holding company, a central point in a web of facades, each linked by a labyrinth of dealings meant to obscure their ties. Some traced back to before Evan joined Meridian, hinting this was no mere opportunistic theft. The plan was set. Infiltration awaited. With each layer I peeled back, the truth emerged, sharp and undeniable. Evan stood on the edge of disappointment, his mediocre past sealing his fate. He was now a part of it all. His last company, a Silicon Valley startup brimming with hype yet lacking in profit, was funded by the same investment group that had just secured 3 seats on Meridian's board. Among them was Caleb, Marcus Thorne's nephew, who had stepped in just 6 months prior. This was more than an executive taking from the company. This was an assault on Meridian, a calculated dismantling Master's progress. I gathered every piece I could uncover, arranging it with precision. By dawn, I uncovered over $12 million siphoned from departments through fake vendor contracts, inflated service agreements, and ghost consultancy fees. Spent and weary, I brewed coffee and sank into my porch chair, eyes fixed on the sun breaking over the Ohio River. Helen and I chose this house for the breathtaking view. Water soothes the chaos in your mind, she had whispered. The river's relentless current shapes my mind. My first instinct, to discreetly warn the board, was foolishly optimistic. This cut deeper than Evan and Liam. Some board members were likely involved, revealing their eagerness to replace Diane with an outsider upon her retirement. I had to outsmart this, to plan with precision. This morning, I traced a tangled web of board members, Evan's former allies, and the shell companies. By afternoon, I had pin-painted 3 board members who probably had no idea about the scheme. Isabella Rossi, a retired manufacturing executive-turned-board member, David Chone, the voice of our workers' pension fund, and Anthony Bellwether, the silent yet steadfast oldest member, always present for the votes. I uncovered a truth I had missed. Liam O'Connell had been at Vertex Solutions, a shell vendor, 3 years prior. His name lay hidden in the incorporation documents, a ghost of founding partner, erased from the public eye before he ever joined Meridian. Just as I gathered the last piece, my phone shattered the silence. I picked up, despite the block number. "Are you Arthur Vance?" A voice, soft yet piercing, emerged from the shadows, voicing thoughts. "I'm Sophia Rossi. I work in the enforcement division of the SEC." My heart froze for an instant. An anonymous tip has surfaced, hinting at possible financial misconduct within the new leadership at Meridian Manufacturing. Your insights could be invaluable. Every word weighed heavy with meaning. After 15 years, I step away from my role as CFO. We know. Can we meet casually to talk about some transactions from the last 6 months? Who else is aware that you're reaching out to me? I inquired. Northwest won beyond my close circle. This is just the beginning, a search for truth, not yet a formal inquiry. I weighed my choices. Approaching the SEC would thrust us in the spotlight in no time. Meridian stock would crash. Countless lives hang in the balance, like Eleanor's and Leo's, as the company teeters on the brink of scandal. But the SEC had already been alerted. Time slipped away. "I need time," I finally admitted. "What time is it, Mr. Vance? I need to get this right." I had 3 days to make it happen. I had to make sure the evidence remained untouched. I secured all my documents in several safe places and activated Deadman switches. Every 48 hours, I had to enter a code. If I failed, the entire package would be sent to the SEC, the Department of Justice, and 3 financial journalists I admired. I meticulously crafted emails to the 3 board members I sensed were disengaged, Isabella, David, and Anthony. I never pointed fingers at anyone. I highlighted troubling patterns I observed before leaving, providing just enough evidence to spark serious doubts without drowning them in details. I've set these to go out on their own in just 2 days. The most fragile moment awaited. I reached out to Eleanor, hoping she could join me for coffee. She nodded without hesitation. "They're gutting your whole department," she said, her voice a fragile whisper. Liam claims we're streamlining finances, yet half the team faces reassignment, while the rest hangs in uncertainty. "Are you part of this?" She nodded, tears threatening to spill. "After 22 years at Meridian, I'm blindsided. My job is gone. 6 weeks to secure a new role within the company, or everything changes." I stood in silence as she gathered her thoughts. "Eleanor, do you recall the audit protocol we set up following the Jackson acquisition? The one featuring a distinct verification route?" Her brow furrowed, then realization struck. The intertwined path of scrutiny. The system that instantly replicates every transaction exceeding $50,000 to the secure server. Is it still alive? From what I understand, it's locked into the system. Liam's team needed to be aware to shut it down. Relief surged through me as I nodded. Who hold the keys to those records now? Only the senior auditing team. Liam, the CFO, I suppose. What's the status of the backup archiving? Is it still sent to Iron Mountain on the first of every month? She paused, lost in thought. Absolutely, it's all automated. The October backup was supposed to be sent out last week. Flawless. Evan and Liam could uncover my actions and attempt to change the records, but the originals would remain securely stored away. Eleanor, I need to ask you something crucial, and it's perfectly okay to decline. I pushed the sealed envelope toward him, tension crackling in the air. A formal letter reveals urgent financial issues that, as a senior accounting manager, you must urgently bring to the attention of internal audit. It only touches on information you can rightfully access in your position. Submit this, and they can't touch you without facing the law's shield for whistleblowers. Her hand shook violently as she grasped the envelope. Is this the true reason for their push against me? What if I see them? Perhaps. Submitting this will forge an undeniable internal record, one that demands attention. It compels internal audit to probe into particular transactions, the very ones I've recorded before. Eleanor braced herself. When will it happen? Tomorrow morning is perfect. On my way home, I paused twice more. First, I went to a notary public, where I signed and sealed a powerful affidavit detailing all I had uncovered. Next, I went to my lawyer's office, leaving sealed instructions to be opened if I vanished. That evening, a text from Leo pierced the silence. L bombards with questions about the old audit protocols, seeking clarity in the shadows of the past. Shaking with anxiety, stay alert, they began to grasp the weight of their error. In their rush to cast me aside, they failed to see the evidence I had quietly gathered. The pieces fell into place. All I could do was wait. 6 weeks after I left, chaos erupted all at once. The internal audit sparked by Eleanor's complaint landed on Liam's desk just as my detailed emails hit the inboxes of the 3 uninvolved board members. By noon, Isabella Rossi summoned an emergency board meeting, wielding her power as audit committee chair. Though I wasn't present, Eleanor kept me in the loop with her messages, each one charged with urgency. At 2, the board meeting began, Evan's face ashen. Elle was led into a conference room, the weight of legal matters heavy in the air. Outside auditors stormed in, seizing the main conference room. By evening, the news shattered the silence within. Meridian faced scrutiny over troubling financial discrepancies. Every executive brought in during Evan's reign faced immediate administrative leave, awaiting a thorough forensic audit. I switched off my phone and wandered by the river, the Cincinnati skyline igniting with life as night descended. After months of tension, my shoulders finally dropped, releasing a weight I didn't know I carried. The next morning, 3 missed calls flashed on my phone. Marcus Thorne, Evan, Caleb Thorne. My heart raced. I turned away from them all. I picked up the call from Anthony Bellwether, our oldest board member. 15 years of clean books, he rasped, the weight of time heavy in his voice. Everything is in order, no surprises, no setbacks. I should have fought for you when they cast you aside. Now you find your voice, Anthony. That's everything. I've been thrust into the role of acting chairman as we navigate this chaos. Marcus and Caleb have stepped down, joined by 2 others. Evan and Liam have been let go for serious reasons. I remain silent. We need you back, Arthur, only for a moment, to aid the forensic team and bring some stability. A barge glided down the Ohio, deliberate and unwavering. I'll assist with the investigation, I finally declared, but I won't return for good. Why, if I may inquire? Meridian craves innovation, I said, a small smile breaking through. I'm a bit too rooted in the past. 3 months later, I found myself on my new deck in Asheville, North Carolina, as the sun dipped behind the Blue Ridge Mountains. My cabin was small, 2 bedrooms and an office, but the view took my breath away. The probe at Meridian revealed what I feared, a calculated plot to siphon all value via deceitful contracts and inflated expenses. Evan, Liam, and a group of board members now stand accused of federal securities fraud and embezzlement. After 6 weeks of untangling the truth with the forensic accountants, I packed my Cincinnati home and set off for the mountains Helen, and I had dreamed of retiring to. The settlement from Meridian for my consulting work was more than generous, enough to purchase this cabin outright, with plenty to spare. I had made it clear, no public statements, no press conferences, no grand entrances. That wasn't me. My phone buzzed. Eleanor's name lit up the screen. Promoted to Director of Accounting. The new CEO is determined to reshape the department from the ground up. I smiled and replied, well deserved. Always maintain a parallel audit trail. Yesterday, my lawyer delivered the news. The SEC was closing its case against Meridian. The company had accepted governance reforms and financial penalties, but crucially, shareholders and regular employees faced no punishment. As shadows cloaked the mountains, I unlatched the leather portfolio Helen had gifted me long ago. Inside lay our final photo, captured at the lake house, a fleeting moment before her diagnosis shattered everything. "You were right," I whispered, my heart racing as I gazed into her smiling eyes. "I regret not savoring moments like this more. Tomorrow, I'll drive into town to meet the director of a local nonprofit, desperate for help with their finances. Simple yet essential, providing clarity for those who matter most. Some may label it old school. I see it as integrity.